Fate, believe it or not, does have an economic development board. It's called the FDC, or Fate Development Corporation. It's been almost kind of a name-only type of thing, but during the past year, we've had an opportunity now to visit some statewide conventions, if you will, and taken notes. We have now purchased, and we have some materials and so forth now that we're going to begin participating in the TML State Convention, and also with the ICSC, which is the International Shopping Center something or other convention. As a matter of fact, this year it's being held at the Gaylord Hotel in Grapevine, and so we're going to be promoting and advertising our city, and we're working with other economic development boards in the area, and hopefully some of the overflow coming out of Rockwall it's moving east. So we're right on the threshold of taking on some of that material. Subdivisions, we have we have 7 subdivisions, primarily in the Fate area. The 2 biggest ones are Wood Creek, what they built out of over 5,000. That's not even a third way there yet. And then recently we have another 1,700 homes going in on the south side of Interstate 30 in Williamsburg. Williamsburg has remained dormant for the past 14, 15 months. The developer, after developing the area, sold everything to one builder, Meritage. Meritage is a national firm. Went through some downsizing, if you will, based on the economy this past year, and as such, fundamentally let that property go back to the banks. So we recently had several developers came in and I guess went into a bidding war of some type, but anyway, one has emerged, and they're now signing the contracts, and they're going to begin pushing a new amenity center in Williamsburg. They're putting another $3 million into it, so that dirt work begins in about 2 weeks. So we'll be seeing some progress over there. All of the other subdivisions, other than those are the 2 majors. The rest of them are near build out. Health and safety, which is police and fire. We've had a multitude of issues in that area. In the police environment, there's a sizable amount of money that's required to put together your own police department. It isn't just paying the salaries or something of a few officers. Between the equipment that it takes to support those officers, and then the court system it takes to support what they do, it's astronomical. So we're looking at somewhere close to $3.5 million or something just to start up or something in our own department. Of course, nobody has that kind of money, so the Sheriff's Department, the Rockwall County Sheriff's Department, came up with a program where we fundamentally lease, if you will, officers from them. They're dedicated officers. It's the same people. We interview them and get familiar with them and comfortable with them, and then we put our city logo and stuff on those sheriff vehicles, and we pay for the vehicles. We pay the officers, salaries and benefits and that type of thing. So we contract with the county and there's a little markup, I'm sure, in there. And so we...
That's why you're the mayor.
And but anyway, it has worked out extremely well. We currently have 4 officers. We're going to 5 officers effective October 1st this year. So so we have a what do they call it? 24/7, 365 program now with the shifts that they operate to. So that's a big benefit to our city. Our fire department is fundamentally fell on hard times this past year. But there's a kind of a good and a bad in there. They were doing really well in that the equipment that they had kind of fell apart, so we ended up having to spend a few $1 million to purchase 2 new fire trucks. And following that, we thought, well, okay, we've taken care of them. We can forget about them and focus on some other areas. And lo and behold, the fire station was condemned because of black mold and some other stuff. And firemen, being what they are, they're good people. They're really industrious, but they are not architects. They're not you know, the plumbing and the wiring in that building was just unbelievable. But in any event, so we have now passed bonds, and we're in the process of building. We tore down the old. The decision was made because of the central locality to just rebuild right there where they were, and that's currently being done. And it should be a state-of-the-art. It will be a state-of-the-art facility when they get through. So we're going to be extremely proud of what they've been able to accomplish. That takes care of. Let's see. Schools, again, we're divided between two school districts. The Rockwall ISD has purchased. Let me see. We have 1, 2, 3 sites that they have purchased. The demographics have yet to materialize where they're ready to assign a number to one of those and actually build. But I think with the Williamsburg development, as that grows, we'll see something there. And also in the Wood Creek area, there's a big rectangular section sitting right out there in the middle. And over the past month, we've had 2 new developers come in, 2 new builders, excuse me, and they're representing two significant subsections of Wood Creek, and they're in the process of putting their plats and stuff together now. They'll be coming forward with those, so we'll see some future growth when we head in that area. Let's see, you know, that old adage about taxation with no representation. We had, for many years there, we had both school boards. There wasn't a single person from the city of Fate on those boards, so it was kind of difficult at times trying to get a little bit of growth going on in our community. But all that has changed now. We have great working relationships with these schools, and we currently have 1 elementary school and 1 intermediate school, which is 5th and 6th grade only in the city of Fate. They have purchased 2 other sites, and I thought one of them was going to get underway this year, but they slid it out another year, so I'm sure the general economy has had an impact on that. In recreation, we have 2 parks in our community. We do have master plans, you know, like the water master plans, the sewer, and so forth, but we also have a parks and trails master plan, so that as developments come into the community, both the trails and the parks will tie themselves all together. We did receive a $400,000 grant from the State Parks and Wildlife Agency, which was a matching grant, and that was for the Smith Family Park. We had the grand opening on that back in June, and we're currently looking at a potential site for a new city hall in that same area. So we have 2 sites, one on the south side and one on the north side that we're looking at, and we'll just see how that plays out. Old City Park, you're not interested in all that. Things like record retention. I mean, I know this sounds ridiculous, and in most businesses, everybody knows that you have file drawers and they have records there. In our particular case, when an auditor came in to do the records, it just disappeared. They just were non-existent. So the same was true about just documentation in general. I was digging through a file trying to find something else, and I came across a deed to a piece of property that the Economic Development Board had purchased some years ago, and this was the actual, you know, stamped and signature copy and everything. And I thought, well, what in the world is it doing in this file? There ought to be a specific file, you know, for deed or something like that. And so when I presented this to the city manager and say, you know, we need to have a certain specific file for this, and oh, by the way, do we have the deed to City Hall? I mean, do we know we own this building? Or you know, and everybody, you know, does one of these. And so we ended up contacting the county, and not only did we find out that, yes, we do have that particular piece of property, we found 7 other pieces of property that had been deeded over by developers for parks and that type of thing. And so that was good. So we're in the process of getting that documentation now, and adding those to our parks and trails plan.